Hi, I'm Alan Ross. We're here at the RE Plus Conference and Exposition. We're talking to thought leaders about the future of the energy economy. So join us and enjoy. So my next guest is Ahad Esmaeilian. Ahad and I have known each other. He wants to act like we just met, but Ahad, thank you for joining me.
Great to see you.
So we're going to have two areas we want to go through. The first one is your role as the Vice President of Clean Energy for Audubon, right?
Yep.
That's a big title because the world is into clean energy, right?
Yeah,
right.
So excited.
The second one, you are the chair of the IEEE's Grid Edge Conference and Exposition. That's in April?
Yes.
Where's it held?
San Diego Convention Center.
Just down the street, San Diego.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's talk about that first, okay?
Sure.
The Grid Edge Conference had a genesis. Somewhere somebody said, hey, PEST&D happens every other year. Let's do something in the off years. So the IEEE PES group said, let's get Ahad to come in and create this Grid Edge Conference and Exposition. Tell me a little bit about how it started.
You pretty much started what actually has happened. It was a couple of folks within the governing board of PES who thought that there is something missing in between portfolio of conferences that IEEE Power and Energy Society holds. So they reached out to me and another colleague of mine who we knew each other from these volunteer works, who used to be with ComEd, Dr. Calvin Zhang, to kind of start the initiative together about a year and a half ago. So we started putting the thoughts together how we could differentiate ourselves from other PES events and other industry leading events like RE+ or Distributech or others. So over the span of past year, we started bringing together people, trying to organize the location, secure the venue, secure the hotel, secure all the logistics, and building up the team that goes behind the major efforts, and at the same time started reaching out to industry veterans and getting their perspective on how we could, what they see as the points that are not within the major events. So we wanted to leverage the technical significance of IEEE events, as it has been always the case, but also combine it with the element of industry appeal, having the exposition added to it, and then focus only on the areas of technology as it touches the grid edge. So we try to differentiate ourselves by being a little bit picky on who we want to see as exhibitors. While everyone is open to attend, we want to make sure our exhibitors are the ones who are bringing that edge technology, and edge having a double meaning here. Edge meaning at the corner, but edge meaning the cutting edge as well. So that's how we started the initiative, and we are so excited. We have about 6.5, 7 months till the inaugural, which is going to happen in next April at San Diego Convention Center. We locked in our major speakers, our invited speakers, a combination of CEOs, CTOs from utilities, from manufacturers, who are at the end of technology, also from the regulatory and policy arm of the U.S. DOE, FERC, and others, but also from big tech. We are bringing leaders who are people who somewhat relevant to the space of grid edge from the big tech, the way that the whole industry right now mixing up. You cannot really that far differentiate between startups, policymakers, traditional utilities, and so on. So we wanted to have that mixture present in our first year event.
So the one thing, I know you've got a great steering committee. You lead the steering committee. As a matter of fact, you whip us into shape. We're all volunteers, and you expect a lot from us, but you and Calvin and others, I am incredibly impressed by the quality of the people you put on that team. Everybody that's taken a role has taken a very serious side in that. One of the things, I know that we're closed out for papers. Well, in fact, I sent one in and they said, no, we're closed. Panels, one of the things that I think is going to be unique about Grid Edge is the quality and the quantity of the panels. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it was honestly quite surprising to myself. The number of panels we got for a first year event, we got over 85 panels submitted, majority of which are with the flavor of industry. We had few academia or like mixture as well, but majority was industry / policy driven type of panels. We kind of tried to give a 4 theme to the event in a sense that we're going to have focuses on grid modernization, focuses on distributed energy resources, on grid connectivity with cybersecurity challenges, communication, IoTs, and so on. And then we have smart cities, smart buildings, all the great things you hear about energy efficiency, demand response, and so on as part of it. And we've got so many great panels and also papers, which are always expected from IEEE events. But I would say I'm very excited to, now that we are with the team, as you said, a great organizing committee that are working and helping me on that front, to go through the panels, make sure we pick the best ones to the extent that we can, and we accommodate in our event, have them and bring value for our attendees.
We've done something like this at the PES T&D show, but T&D now is kind of the big line. It's been there, it's been around. Grid Edge encompasses so much more. You mentioned it, because there are conferences about solar. There are conferences, we're at one now that's RE+. They have co-sponsored this, but the uniqueness is you're talking about the edge of technology, the grid edge as it relates to distributed energy resources, grid edge thinking in terms of, I love some of the panels and the venture type people, startups, looking at the future. I think that's one of the things I appreciate about the Grid Edge conference is we're going to be looking at the future. So whether you are coming to the conference participant or whether you want to show there, I love the way that you said you're going to be picky about the expo. You want to just not have everybody come, you want to have the right people come, and I appreciate that, because what we've got to do is present a conference, an exposition. They both have to work in harmony, and I think you've put together one whale of a conference and exposition. I'm really excited to be part of it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now I want to switch gears. I want to talk about Ahad as his Vice President of Clean Energy for Audubon. That's a relatively recent appointment for you, right?
Yes, it was about 3 months ago that I joined Audubon, moving from my former company, Avangrid.
Okay. You didn't have to move or anything?
No. With the new life that we are living in, flexibility is the first thing, and the new company actually been looking for expanding their presence here in California. So that from that perspective, it was a match for me.
Okay, so when you look at the whole idea of being the Vice President of the Clean Energy, I think it's Clean Energy Initiative, is that correct?
Clean Energy Business.
Clean Energy Business, so it's more than just initiative, right? What do you see? What's happening in the industry, particularly as of late, as governments are trying to respond to the Ukraine crisis in Europe, to what's happened here with the infrastructure bill, and then the new clean energy or the environmental bill that's gone on? What do you see happening in your space?
I would say, decarbonization is the center point of everything, but it has hundreds of legs that comes with it. When you look into areas like EVs, like in general, zero emission mobility, could be hydrogen, it could be, battery electrics. When you look into penetration of solar and wind, and dealing with the consequences of having more and more renewable connected to the system because of the intermittency of the system, you then need more and more energy storage, short-term storage for some purposes, long-term storage for some other purposes. And then when you think about those, you see emerging technologies like, in the space of long-term storage, there are a lot of hope for hydrogen to be that vehicle with potential to store it underground, in the caverns, in the depleted oil and gas fields, in aquifers, and so on. And the list continues. Like, obviously the current government here in U.S. Putting a lot of pressure behind decarbonization on different fronts with the Infrastructure Bill Act, and then with the Inflation Reduction Act now. There are elements on grid modernization, elements for EVs, elements for hydrogen and low carbon fuel. It could be ammonia, it could be all the other types of technologies. And then you think with the recent crisis that we saw because of the war, then there was, to me, it sounded like there was a wake-up call that, renewable energy is great. We recognize that, and we have to continue pushing all 100% for it. But it doesn't mean that we have to do some sacrifices that might not be needed to be done at this point. Maybe we need to still keep some technologies if they are still in operational situation. Right. Examples being the existing nuclears. Some countries like Germany, they're facing that right now because of early retirement of some of those units. To the extent that nuclear can support, yes, it is more pricey, yes, it has its own risks, and it could be catastrophic when you think about that risk. But to the extent that you could operate those safe, those additional support that renewable energy needs for decarbonization.
Okay.
So in that sense, I just wanted to also mention about like how I see and hear from experts when they're talking about, with the recent crisis, how things are changing. I don't think in general there would be any change in the push for renewables, but just making sure we do it more cost effectively and more appropriately, and having the mindset of it's not going to happen overnight.
No, that's excellent, because I think it is time for it. We've all talked about it, decarbonization and everything else. This whole interview sessions that we're doing is supported by a company called H2 Scan. They're in the sensing business for hydrogen, and I know that H2 Scan has never seen the kind of excitement. And now if you have anything to do with hydrogen, you got to measure it. You've got to be able to sense it, and you got to be able to make sure it's safe. So it's a great time for anybody being in the industry, clean energy or otherwise. Well, I hope you much success in your role at Audubon, and I know we're having success at IEEE Grid Edge. I'm glad to be part of it, but thank you for organizing. Thank you for all of your hard work. I appreciate it, Ahad.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Now, is there anything that you'd like to say to your father? Would you face that camera and say something to your father in Farsi?
In Farsi, okay. بسیار به وجودت افتخار میکنم. امیدوارم که پسر خوبی باشم برات و تو هم به من افتخار کنی. ممنون.
Excellent. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
And Dad, thank you for him. So all of these interviews that we have conducted have been sponsored by the people behind me. The first one is the Grid Edge Conference and Exposition, which takes place in April 2023 in San Diego. The IEEE PES Grid Edge Conference and Exposition has been a long time in the making. This will be our first one, and it will be a delight. I can already tell you that we've had more papers, more panelists than we could possibly hold, and the conference itself is going to be brilliant. The second organization sponsoring us is H2 Scan. H2 Scan is ubiquitous in the transformer industry as the best. It's kind of like Intel, it's inside. H2 Scan is a hydrogen sensing technology that is patented, that has been around for the last 20 years. It really came on strong as transformer hydrogen became a problem. DGA recognized by IEEE. And I just thank the people at H2 Scan. They are also in electrolyzers, fuel cells, battery storage, but hydrogen safety is incredibly important. They're in refining and processing, so H2 Scan, thank you. Lastly, RE+. We are at the Renewable Energy Plus Conference and Exposition, and as we close this one out, I want to thank them for allowing us to conduct these interviews here, for allowing us to be part of their incredible conference. It's been enormous. There have been 27,000 people that have attended this conference, and you can tell the energy, the excitement that's taking place within the renewables industry, so thank you, RE+. It's been a delight to do these interviews, and I hope you've enjoyed them.